Today, we're going to be going over chapters 7 and 8 of Dave Knapp, Dave on the Pen, Knapp's book, Decoding GLP-1, a guide for friends and family of those on the pen. And chapters 7 and 8 were really good chapters. It was really a good chapter for me because I didn't understand compounding pharmacies, because I get I have type 2 diabetes, and I take Mounjaro, which is the name brand medication that is a GLP-1. And I take it directly. Yeah, it's tirzepatide, but I take it directly through the manufacturer, Eli Lilly, is where I've been getting mine. So I hadn't paid close enough attention yet to compounding pharmacies, though I see that a lot of my subscribers do use compounding pharmacies, and they were really needed when we were having a huge shortage trying to get our medications.
And there are some other reasons that they exist, which I thought was interesting too. Like, for instance, they sometimes people are allergic to one of the components of medication.
Of any medication.
And a compounding pharmacy could do a special, more personalized version that won't contain that.
Right.
Or for like pediatric dosing of the same medication, so you don't give too much to your little baby or something. You're not giving your baby Mounjaro.
but on other medications.
Like, it could be something else compounded.
Exactly. I take HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and I also wear an estradiol patch, and I take just a little bit of testosterone. And I could have gone to a compounded pharmacy to get the testosterone in a pump, and then just take one little, I would just press the pump once, and the right amount of medication for me would come out. But for me, it was a lot more expensive to do that. And so I get a box that has 30 packets in it. It's one packet a day if I were a man to take testosterone, but I'm a woman. So it takes me 10 days to use that one little packet. But I mark on a calendar when I've opened the packet, so I make sure I have not had that I wait 10 days before I open up the next one. And so I take my time using just a little bit each day. It's not perfect where it would be perfect if I use the pump, but it's pretty close, and it saves me a lot of money. But that's another way that you can use. And that was the first time I ever had a doctor tell me if I wanted to, I could use a compounding pharmacy to get one of my medications. So it does have, and the kind of compounding pharmacy that individualizes and makes the medication just for you in the formula just that you need and the dose that you need is a 503A pharmacy. And then there's also 503B pharmacies. And the 503B pharmacies, if a medication.
Oh, isn't that a retirement account?
It sounds like it, doesn't it? If a medication is on where the drug manufacturer can't make a big enough supply for all the demand of people who need it, of patients who need it, then a 503B compounding pharmacy, they can make a bunch of it in bulk, and they try to make it exactly the way that the original drug manufacturer would make it, but they're only supposed to make it while there's a shortage.
Now the 503A is done more personally, like by some sort of pharmacist or chemist, and the 503B, it's done more like they would in large-scale factory kind of production, where they have, things are automated. People like having human error and things like that when they're creating the dosing and all that.
Exactly. And they also have The gray market.
Now, wait a minute. Both
Wait.
the 503A and the 503B also share some oversight by the federal government. So that they're like, or state government. They're looking at the process and making sure that it's good practices for producing the product.
Exactly.
And safe.
On page 29 of Dave's book, he has a graph and a chart, and he really spells it out really well. He says branded medications, who makes it? The pharmaceutical company. Who regulates it? It's FDA approved and monitored. And how do you receive that medication? You need a prescription. A prescription is required and dispensed through licensed pharmacies. But if you're going to get a 503B compounded, who makes it? Compounded pharmacies and outsourcing facilities.
And those will vary. So you have to kind of, do your homework.
Do your homework. And who regulates it? It's non-FDA approved. It's overseen by the FDA, the CGMP process, the process of manufacturing it is overseen by the FDA.
It stands for something. It's like here it's on the page here. I wish I could see.
You need to get, you are wearing glasses.
I am wearing glasses.
You need stronger glasses.
I need glasses for
stronger
my glasses.
readers.
Yeah, I'm sorry. But the good manufacturing products processes that they need to follow.
Exactly. And then the 503A, who makes it? 503A compound pharmacies. They are non-FDA approved and they are overseen by individual state pharmacy boards. And how do you get those medications? You still need a prescription is required. And research grade in the gray, there's the gray area here. Research grade says various unregulated sources, no oversight.
Wait, those are red flags for me?
Yeah. Yeah, they have no oversight and it's not intended for human consumption. And no prescription is required, purchased online or from unregulated suppliers.
And that reminded me of that South Park episode where the kids are compounding the tirzepatide in their basement.
Yes.
They're selling at...
We did do a video about that. It was the first time I ever saw South Park before, and they did an episode on obesity medications. It's actually pretty funny, but and not a cartoon for children. I always say that, not a cartoon for children. Lots of swearing and things, but oh my gosh, it was so funny. And the kids were making their own compounded medication.
But it was funny because it was true.
There's too much truth in it too. Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was really if you only see one episode of South Park, that would be the episode to see, in my opinion. And the gray market is really scary. So I'm going to tell you about that for a minute. There are some new medications for GLP-1 that are to help people with type 2 diabetes and also to help people with obesity that are going to be coming out on the market. And they're being studied right now. And they are being tested and with researchers. And first they tested on mice and animals. Then they bring in people who are willing to do clinical testing before the medication can be approved to see, is there some horrible side effects that happen to people? And they pay people to take that risk to be part of a study.
And they get monitoring. I mean, doctors oversee this kind of thing.
Exactly. They get a lot of monitoring of their health while they're taking an experimental drug that will hopefully in the future become something that you approve that you can get a prescription of. Well, one of those is called
Retatrutide.
Retatrutide. They might even change the name when it comes out,
sure.
because it's not FDA approved yet. It's in the third stages of clinical trials, and it's looking great. It actually has 3 components to help you lose weight in
Versus
it.
2?
Versus 2 in Mounjaro and Zepbound, which is tirzepatide, and 1 in semaglutide, which is Ozempic and Wegovy. So I mean, it's looking really great. And so far, the people in the clinical trials, they're losing a lot of weight, and they're losing even more weight than people have lost generally taking tirzepatide and semaglutide. So it really looks good. However, I have been noticing on YouTube that there are some channels of people who are bodybuilders or fitness instructors that are saying, hey, if you want, I can give you
Retatrutide.
Yes, I can give it to you. Send me money and I will mail you some. And you don't need a
Scam alert. Scam.
Well, the thing is, they'll mail you something. Some of them might not mail you anything.
Wait.
But
and tell that story about the email.
I am.
Okay, good.
I am. So you don't know. Well, number one, they are playing around in their garage or basement, mixing some crap up to send to you. And you do not know what the quality of that is. And even if they had the formula correct, it has not finished the clinical trials, and you do not have a doctor watching over you and all those lab technicians doing all kinds of extra testing to make sure if there's something unsafe happening that they can take care of you, and they can note it, they can write that down and keep track of what's happening to your body. So to do that is extremely dangerous. I do not recommend it. And that is part of the gray, what's called the gray market on peptides. And I strongly suggest that you don't try that. And Dave, not only did Dave write a book, Dave Knapp, he also has a YouTube channel called On the Pen. He stays up to date with all the clinical trials that are happening for all the different medications that are out there. He is on top of it. And he did an article, I believe in September, about a coffee shop that was making their own GLP-1s and selling it to people. And this is the gray market GLP-1, so not being regulated by anybody. And a bunch of people got crazy sick, where they had vomiting and diarrhea that was so bad, they ended up in the hospital. So crazy sick. Yeah. So you do not ever want to do the gray marketing, because that can be scary, and there is no one watching over them and regulating them. So you are putting your life into some stranger's hands. Not worth it. So there's a buyer beware on that. And right now, Eli Lilly is trying to sue some of the compounding pharmacies that are legit compounding pharmacies that have oversight, but are trying to sue them because they believe right now there is not a shortage anymore. And so if there's not a shortage, Eli Lilly wants them to stop making it, because it is taking away from Eli Lilly's profits. Because if they have the capacity now to make enough medication for people, they want all the patients to go to them, which is really hard for a lot of people, because one of the problems with the GLP-1 is it's very expensive, the cost. And if your insurance won't cover it for you, it's crazy expensive. But compounding pharmacies, now I will say compounding pharmacies, they didn't have to spend a bunch of money up front of testing, creating the formula and then testing thousands of people to make sure that the drug is safe before it
And
goes to market and what dosages should happen. They don't have to do all of that. Eli Lilly has done that, and it's very, very expensive. And they already invested that money doing the research to create it. A compounding pharmacy, all they have to do is make it. And making it, once all that research is done, is really pretty cheap. The expense is creating it and doing the tons of years of testing to make, or not tons of years, but tons of testing that do take more than a couple of years before it can hit the market. So Eli Lilly has already invested all that money. And for compounding pharmacies, they can make it a lot cheaper, and they pass that savings on to you. So there's a lot of people who aren't able to get these medications on their insurance, but they can go to a compounding pharmacy with their doctor prescribing it and having a doctor look after them, which is very important too. They can get the medications for a lot less money. And so right now there are some.
Wait, we need to interrupt and say.
Go ahead.
We are not doctors.
We are not doctors.
We are not prescribing you anything. This is not medical advice.
Nope. And currently on this day, on October 12th of 2025, I have 0 sponsors. There are no companies of any kind whatsoever that are sponsoring me. So whenever I do say that there's a product that I like, I'm just talking about things that I like, that I personally use, and just sharing things that I like. But nobody has given me money to say that their product is wonderful, including any compounding pharmacies. And there are some GLP-1 users who have YouTube channels that are content creators that are sponsored by some of the compounding pharmacies that are out there. But I've not gone that route. I
think, don't they usually say also?
They have to tell you. Yeah. They tell you because they do little commercials for them, especially like Mochi and some like that. But I haven't used them because I was, hard to say, I was blessed to have type 2 diabetes, but I do have type 2 diabetes, and my insurance company, the first year that Mounjaro came out, they didn't cover it for me. And my doctor tried to prescribe it for me, but it was going to cost me $1,400 a month. I don't have that kind of money.
I don't either.
So I did not do it. And then the second year it came out, I had someone check for me that was helping us with other medical bills that came with Jeff's bladder cancer, and double check to see if Mounjaro was covered, and it finally was covered for me. So I've been blessed to be able to take it now with my health insurance, helping me with that. So that was chapter 7. Really did a deep dive into
for the details, and we didn't tell all the details here.
Okay.
But the book is cheap.
Yeah.
All the details are right in there. If you don't have the book, we recommend the book.
Yeah, I highly recommend the book. Absolutely. And chapter 8 is about community. And community is so important, especially when you have type 2 diabetes and obesity. It's really helpful to have some friends that you can talk to that are experiencing the same thing. My YouTube channel was started in the fall of 2019. So my channel's been around for 6 years now, Anchor Moments with Gina LeBenz. And anchor moments are the moments in your life that have anchored your faith. And I created my YouTube channel after I wrote my book, Anchor Moments, Hope, Healing, and Forgiveness. And then later, I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in October of 2020. So it's my 5-year diabetes, type 2 diabetes anniversary. And when I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I was 53 pounds heavier than I am today.
Yeah.
So if you look at my profile picture, that's me 53 pounds ago. And I discovered that I had friends who also had type 2 diabetes who never talked about it. Because when I would share with one of them one-on-one, they'd say, "Oh, Gina, I've had type 2 diabetes for 20 years now." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you never said anything." And then the second friend I mentioned that I had type 2 diabetes said, "Oh, Gina, I've had type 2 diabetes for over 10 years now." They never talked about it. And I mentioned it. Like, "You never said anything." They say, "Oh, I don't like talking about it. You know, I kind of keep that hidden." And I realized that there's just too much shame around it. And I didn't want there to be shame anymore. So I decided I would come out and share my type 2 diabetes journey with my Anchor Moments community. And I started a type 2 diabetes playlist. And it was really neat. It was to be able to
Still
share,
is.
and it still is. And I started taking Mounjaro. Tomorrow, I'll be taking is it my 92nd or 93rd shot?
92nd.
My 92nd shot of Mounjaro, I'll be taking tomorrow. And I take every shot live. I go live every week. And there is a reason why I'm wearing a scarf on my head today.
I thought it was because you decided to become a hippie.
No, I didn't decide to become a hippie, but 92 weeks ago, when I gave myself my very first Mounjaro shot on ever, and I did it on YouTube, there was only a couple of people in the audience, and one of the very first people, the first person in my audience to reach out was Barb from Health at Any Cost. And that's how I met Barb 92 weeks ago. And she was letting me know I was really nervous when I took that first shot. And you were supposed to hear 2 clicks. And my heart was pounding so hard, I couldn't hear the second click. And Barb reached out in the comments and said, "Oh, Gina, I heard the second click. It happened. It happened. You did it right."
The first click is louder.
Yeah, than the second click. Yeah. But I didn't hear the second click over my heart pounding so hard. And she let me know, "No, sweetheart, you did it correctly. And you did have that. I did hear that second click for you." And she has been a friend ever since. And she usually comes on when I do my lives and in the chat. And she has also been a guest on my show, I think, at least 3 times now. And Barb has lost over 280 pounds while taking Mounjaro. And it changed her life for the better. And she is so amazing. And she has her own YouTube channel called Health at Any Cost. And before she started taking Mounjaro, she already had melanoma skin cancer. And
she has shared this.
So I'm not violating any HIPAA things, because she shares this on her YouTube channel, and she shared it on my YouTube channel on the 3 different times that we have had her on as a guest. And she has shared she had melanoma skin cancer before she ever started taking Mounjaro. And that skin cancer has gotten worse. And recently, she developed a second kind of cancer, which has a bunch of alphabet letters, and I'm afraid I'm going to say them wrong, so I'm not going to. But you can go to her YouTube channel, and she'll tell you what it is, because she mentions it in some of her videos, that she has another cancer now, and it's a cancer that you often will get if you have melanoma skin cancer. And there are like 3 different kinds of skin cancers, but the melanoma one is the most aggressive one, and is the one you really don't want. And she has that one. Well, she recently had another surgery where they had to take off a significant piece of melanoma cancer on her face, on her temple. And when they took the bandages off and she saw what it looked like, it was really frightening for her because it was much deeper than she thought it would be. And they even had to take a skin graft off of her leg, a big skin graft, and then take that skin and then put it, attach it to her face. And it was really upsetting to her. And she did not own even one scarf. And so wrapped around her head is just white gauze. And she asked on one of her last videos is if anyone had a scarf, that if they could mail her a scarf, she would just so she could borrow it until everything healed. She'd really appreciate that. And her daughter helped her out with a special new email, and it's barbfightsback@gmail.com. So if you would like to mail Barb a scarf, and I think it'd be too hard for Barb to have to mail it back to you. So they'd be gifts. If you'd be willing to gift Barb a scarf or anything else, or you want to even just leave her a private message of encouragement, you can go to this special email, barbfightsback@gmail.com. And if you would like to mail her a care package, I saw that one person on either one of her videos or one of her YouTube posts said that they like to crochet, and they are going to crochet some hats for her, some beanie hats for her too, because she's also supposed to wear beanies, and she didn't have any beanies either. That you could do that. If you email her, she will get back to you how you can mail her a scarf or a care package of any kind. But we love Barb bunches, and she has been a good friend to me for 92 weeks now while on this Mounjaro journey. And she's been a good friend to a lot of other people too.
And helpful.
Oh, she's so helpful. If people have questions, she used to be a doula, and a midwife, and she would help people deliver their babies. She's just a very incredibly kind and wonderful human being. Just love her pieces. So today I am wearing one of my scarves on my head in honor of Barb. And I'm hoping that Barb gets a flood of scarves and she could feel the love coming from around the world to her. And I thought it'd be perfect to wear a scarf today because chapter 8 of Decoding GLP-1
Talks about scarves.
Doesn't talk about scarves,
Oh.
but it talks about the importance of community.
Yes.
To having somebody you can talk to who's also taking these GLP-1 medications. And a lot of people don't tell anybody, even though they're on the pen. They're not telling their friends and family they're on it because they're afraid that people will shame them. And I can tell you that sometimes that does happen. There is a story that I haven't told yet, and that is I have a group of friends that meet once a month. And we're a group of old ladies who like to wear big hats and the color purple and the color red. And we get together and we have lunch once a month. And sometimes we'll go to a movie, or we'll go to a musical, or we'll walk around the zoo, or do a fun outing together. And I am one of the very youngest people in that group, because it is a group you have to be 55 years old or older to be a part of it. And I joined when I was 55. And this group of ladies have been together for a very long time. So most of them are in their 70s and 80s. But for me, I thought what I liked about the group is all these women have wisdom and they know what's coming next for me. So I'm I'm a new senior citizen at being over 55. And so they know where all the, they know where there's good lunch specials, the senior specials for things. I discovered going to the movies, I could get a discount at the movies, when I go in the afternoon with them, that I can get the senior rate or whatever. I can learn other things from them too. I can learn from the wisdom of their life experiences. And some of them have become widows. And that's not an experience I ever want to have, but it's reality that more than likely either me or Jeff will go first, that more than likely we won't go together. I mean, it's still possible. We do drive around that van. So, maybe we'll disappear on a trip. I don't know. I think I'd prefer it that way if we both went together. But anyway, they have wisdom about so much. And so I enjoy meeting with them and hearing them share their stories. But what they don't have wisdom in is GLP-1s. And, thinking about the group, I don't think any of them have obesity. I think I'm the only chubby one in the group, truly chubby. But, that's a thing too. They're in their 70s and 80s. And you know why they've lived to be in their 70s and 80s? They haven't had to battle obesity. So that's not been a problem that they've had to deal with. And so they don't understand what it's like to battle obesity because it's not something that they've experienced. And when we were having lunch last month, it came up. I didn't bring it up. I've not told those ladies that I was taking a GLP-1 because nobody asked. We talk about other things. It didn't come up. Where I talk about it all the time is on my YouTube channel because I'm in community. And this is where I open up and I let you all ask me whatever questions you want to ask me. And though I'm not a doctor, I tell you that. And I tell you, I'm just your sister from another mister, but I'm willing to share my journey. And I share about taking hormone replacement therapy too. I've shared about having lipedema in my arms and legs, which is a fatty tissue disorder that gives you some hard lumps that are different from cellulite because they're very painful and they don't go away. So when I'm done losing weight, those lumps will still remain. They won't disappear. There's pictures of women that are skin and bones in their chest area, and their face looks like a skeleton, but they still have fat on their legs. But it's the lumpy, bumpy fat. They've gotten rid of their regular fat, but the lumps and bumps, and they got so skinny because they just kept thinking, if I keep dieting, I'll eventually get rid of this ugly fat, and it never goes away. The only way to get rid of it is through surgery, liposuction surgery, where they suck it out, which is expensive, and it's a painful procedure. So not all of us will be doing that. But anyway, I will answer any questions that you have, and I do that openly here. But when I'm hanging out with friends, I'm not talking about my GLP-1, unless they ask, but I'm not going to, there's no reason to bring it up. We're talking about,
how about those GLP-1s?
Yeah, we're talking about our kids or grandkids or our goofy spouses or vacation we're going to go on, or I don't know. But things like that, the weather, we talk about other things. We don't talk about GLP-1s. Well, sitting with these older women in their 70s and 80s who have never battled obesity, and we were eating dinner. Actually, we had finished dinner. And it was somebody's birthday, so there was birthday cake, and that was passed out. And I had a piece of birthday cake on my plate, and I had eaten less than half of it. And that less than half So more than half of a piece of birthday cake was sitting on my plate for over an hour. I hadn't touched it anymore. And we were just chatting about all kinds of things. We were having such a good time. And I don't know why one of the ladies brought it up, but one of those old ladies brought up taking those shots to lose weight. I think they had mentioned that one of the ladies in the group had lost a little bit of weight, but she wasn't taking those shots, those horrible shots. And it was said kind of like that, very derogatory, of like, ooh. And then, and everyone was like, oh yeah, like, oh, you wouldn't want to take those. Like, that's just like you're taking heroin on the street or something. Like, it was like a terrible thing to do. And that one lady has lost some weight, but she wasn't on one of those terrible shots. And I sat there and I thought,
Do you say something?
do I say something or do I just let it go?
I know the answer.
Yeah. So I thought about it. I didn't say anything for a minute and I just listened. And I listened to the ladies go about, how those shots are just so terrible and horrible and expensive. And it's just like it was a crime against humanity that they were even available, And I thought, okay, here's my chance. And I said, just a minute, ladies. I know a lot about those shots. And they said, you do? And I said, yes. I said, I don't know if you guys have noticed because, I only see you once a month. And sometimes I don't see them because if I'm on a trip with Jeff in our traveling around the country in our RV, I won't see him for a couple of months. So there'll be a few months in between. But I let him know, when I first joined a few years ago, I was 50 pounds heavier than I am now. And recently, I think at that point I was like, I'd had maybe 89 shots. And I said, I take a shot once a week of Mounjaro. I have type 2 diabetes. And I have taken a shot once a week for 89 weeks. And I want to tell you what it's done for me. It's done more than help me lose weight. When I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, my A1C was either 10.1 or 10.2. My A1C last week, 5.4. And actually, when I was talking to those ladies, it was still 5.6. I hadn't had it redone, but 5.6. And now it's even 5.4. It's in the green range. That's the healthy range. That's not even pre-diabetes. That's just regular healthy blood sugar. 5.4. And then I told them that I got an opportunity to be in a study for a liver medication. And I got to have a free liver scan. And so I went into the place to see if I qualified. And they did an ultrasound of my liver. And that was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. And son of a gun, I did have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It was stage 1. And they said they really needed somebody that was at least a stage 2 or stage 3 to be able to take their new experimental medication and be part of the study. But they would like to ultrasound my liver exactly 1 year from that date to see if my liver changed. And they let me know that
they were hoping it would get worse.
Well, if it got worse, then I could be in their study. I could be a study participant. But they did tell me there's a possibility it could be better. And they were actually really nice. And they said, we hope for you that it gets better and that you can cure it through diet and exercise. So we're going to check on you in a year. And the liver is the most amazing organ because not all organs can fix themselves, but the liver can get healed. It can get worse. I think once it hits stage 4, it might not be able to repair anymore. But if you can catch it early in the earlier stages, it's still possible that it can get better. And so they wished me luck with that. And then they set up right that day my appointment for a year later. And a year later, I got a message from them. Hey, next week is your appointment. Can you still come in? And I said, sure. And when I got my liver scan done a year later, I'd been on Mounjaro for 8 months because it was in August. And so that would have been August of 24. And it was August of 23 that I had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And in August of 24, it was gone. They did the ultrasound. And then when the doctor came in after reading what my liver looked like, she was so excited for me. And she said, Gina, what have you done this year? And I told her I'd been on Mounjaro for 8 months. And she said, well, your non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is gone. It is erased. And so they don't need to see me next year, but they're going to see me in like 2 or 3 years to check on me again. But they said right now, Eli Lilly is doing a study on people taking Mounjaro and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And it's showing in the study so far that it's making a difference for people. And you know what? I could be a part of that study because it's gone now. And I took Mounjaro. And before I took Mounjaro, I had non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Didn't even know. And sure enough, I did. So that's cured. I used to have super painful knees where it was hard for me to walk upstairs. I would walk up and down stairs really weird.
So wait, you were telling us to the ladies?
And I was telling this to the ladies that I didn't have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease anymore, that my A1C was now in the normal range. And my knees don't hurt anymore. And my knees used to be really painful for going up and down stairs. And they understand painful knees because they're their 70s and 80s, you know. And I said,
you lost 50 pounds.
And I lost 50 pounds. And I lost 50 pounds. And I said, and I haven't had a lot of side effects. The only side effect I have is I have to stay ahead of constipation. But before I took Mounjaro, I used to be kind of full of crap then too. And I had a life of not pooping good enough. Funny story about poop. When I was in high school, I had dated the same boy for all 4 years of high school. And my senior year, it wasn't Jeff. It wasn't Jeff. And my senior year, my boyfriend told me that he pooped every day. And I told him he was a liar. I'm like, there's no way. And I think we were going to go somewhere, but he had to poop. And, you know, so I had to wait for him to finish pooping or whatever. And he's like, oh, I'm done with my daily whatever. And I'm like, you don't go every day. And he's like, yeah, I do. And I said, no, you don't, you liar. And he's like, no, I poop every day. I'm like, you do not. And he's like, Gina, I do. I poop every day. Don't you poop every day? And I said, no, nobody poops every day. And he's like, uh-huh. He's like, ask your mom. And we were at my house and my mom was home and my mom's a nurse. And I went to my mom and I said, Mom, you know, my boyfriend's giving me a hard time. He's telling me, he's lying to me that he poops every day. And my mom looked at me and she said, don't you? And I said, what? And my mom said, I poop every day. I'm like, you're kidding me. Every day. You guys stop lying to me. Because they used to like to tease me and say that I was gullible or whatever. And I thought she was teasing me too, because I could not believe that both my boyfriend and my mom could poop every single day. I did not think that was possible. And then my mom looked at me kind of worried and she said, well, how often do you poop? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, once or twice a week. And I'd done that like almost my whole life, once or twice a week.
You wouldn't know any different.
I wouldn't know any different. And so
people then come up to you. So how many poops do you do today?
Yeah, they didn't talk about that in high school. How often have you pooped? People didn't talk about their poop, you know. But yeah, so I have my whole life.
We go the extra mile.
We go the extra mile for you guys.
We discuss poop.
We'll discuss all kinds of crap with you. Whatever crap you need to know. But yeah, so that's how I found out that.
That's what a value of a community is.
There you go. There you go. Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, this is a book club for busy people.
You didn't finish your story. What did the ladies say when you told them all this stuff?
Oh, okay. I didn't tell them the poop story. But I did tell him that
save something for later.
Let me me next month. I bet they can't wait.
Yeah.
No, but when I did tell them,
and keep it a cliffhanger at the
the
end.
cliffhanger, the party that we had that day was a Mamma Mia party, and they had the Mamma Mia musical on, and we were to sing and dance to Mamma Mia, and I had Jeff drop me off in the van, and I brought bongos to the party, and so I needed Jeff to pick me up. And when I finished telling the ladies that my health was so much better from taking the medication, and I said, and yes, I may need to take the medication. Oh, I remember one of the things that they were complaining about, that some people were still taking the medication even though they were skinny. And how horrible that was, that they'd already lost a bunch of weight, but then they didn't get off it. They were staying on it. And then I explained to them, listen, I have talked to people all around the world and that have lost a lot of weight. I even had someone on that lost over 200 pounds. Yeah, they're skinny right now because they're taking the medication. And they may have to take the medication for life, but it's made a difference in so many ways for their health to stay on it. Just like if you have high blood pressure and you take, but starting with high blood pressure, you have high blood pressure and you take medication for high blood pressure, it makes your blood pressure normal. So while your blood pressure is normal, do you stop taking the high blood pressure medication? No, because once you go off that high blood pressure medication, your blood pressure is going to go back up again. Similar with the GLP-1s, and I'll probably be on it for life, and I'm okay with that because it's made a huge difference with my health. And just as I was saying that, Jeff calls me on the cell phone and says, "I'm in front of the house, ready to pick you up," and that was it. But I will tell you, you could hear a pin drop when I was talking. Usually when I'm talking, there's usually 8 to 10 of us, and sitting at a big table, and there's a lot of noise because we're just all, we're even doing separate little conversations with each other and stuff. You could hear a pin drop, but they all listened. They all listened.
So it
and not one of them.
We don't know what they're going to say.
I don't know. They were very, very quiet, and they listened respectfully. They didn't interrupt me, and they had no other conversations at the table because they had no clue that I was on it, and I had experience where I could tell them about what it's like to be on the medication, what the medication is for, and how it can help somebody. And why would somebody, after they lose all their weight, want to stay on the medication? They couldn't wrap their head around that. Literally could not wrap their head around that. And so I did share that with them. Now, I didn't get to hear too much left because Jeff pulled up and I had to go. So my ride was there, and I took up my drums and went into the van and left. But that is my story for today. And now I want to hear what you guys have to say. And I also want to let you know that tomorrow's episode of Mounjaro is going to be extra special. Tomorrow's Mounjaro Monday Live, because I have at least 2 guests on a panel with me. I'm going to have Mayor Mindy in the house again, and Grant Campbell, who has been on my show before too, as well. We might have a 3rd guest. I'm not sure. I'm waiting for a couple of people to tell me if they want to be a guest or not. But we are going to be discussing what it's like to be to be stalled on your weight loss while you're taking a GLP-1, and different things that we've tried that we do when we're on a stall to break that stall. So we're going to do a deep dive into that. So you'll be hearing from more than just me tomorrow. And I think it'll be a really good episode because a lot of us who take these GLP, it's part of weight loss anyway. Even if you're on a regular weight loss journey and you're not taking a GLP-1, your body will do that from time to time. And I remember many a time, that's what made me be a Weight Watcher dropout. I would lose 20 pounds on Weight Watchers over and over again. I'd lose 20 pounds. And by the time I hit that 20th pound, I would spend 2 or 3 months doing exactly what the program told me to do, eating the exact teeny tiny amount of calories, being starving every night before I go to bed, and not lose an ounce. And after doing that for a couple of months, I'd get tired of paying for it. I'd go out to dinner or it'd be someone's birthday and I'd eat a bunch of cake. Oh, which I did tell those ladies. I said, do you see that cake sitting on my plate that's been sitting on my plate for over an hour now and I haven't eaten half of it? I can't. Even if I wanted to, I can't finish that cake. I feel so full. If I finish that cake, it'll make me feel sick. But to eat a little bit of it was fine. And I enjoyed it. And it was very tasty. And food tastes just the same to me. I enjoy eating food. But for the first time in my life, I can stop when I'm satisfied. And I can sit with something really delicious right in front of me and not finish it. And I've been part of the Clean Plate Club my whole life. But here's that cake. And I don't need to finish it. But I did enjoy a little bit of it. But that's all I needed was a little bit. And that's it. And that's the Mounjaro working for me. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. And I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow as well. And let's see here. We got Logan in the house. And let me put on my little glasses here, my readers. And Logan says, how are your numbers doing today? And what round of Mounjaro are you taking? Okay. Tomorrow, I'm going to take my last 12.5 milligrams of Mounjaro. And then the following week, I'm titrating up to 15. And I'm really excited about that. And my blood sugar, I can tell you right now, is I've got a Freestyle Libre. And they do not pay me money either. They're not a sponsor. Right now, I'm 121. But not bad. I'm in the green zone. And if you look, most of the time I'm hanging out around 100, but I went up a little bit to the 121, but not bad. Not bad. And Juanita says, hello, everyone. I hope you're all having a great weekend. As of this morning, I'm down 55 pounds. Wow. Oh my gosh, since March 25th, I'm 25. Wow, you are very excited. Congratulations, Juanita. That's fantastic. And Juanita, if you'd ever like to be a guest on my show, you can. Just email me, Gina@anchormoments.com. And we'll have you as a guest sometime. Hey, and we got Mariella in the house. And she says, hi, guys. Yay, made it to your live. How about that rain in Arizona today? I've been using Compound the whole time and lost 70 pounds with tirzepatide, currently in maintenance. Woo-hoo! That's fantastic. And Mariella lives not too terribly far from me. So we're going to meet up here at some point and have her be a guest on my show as well. And, and the compounding pharmacy that Mariella does, she uses Mochi. Hey, we got Grant Campbell in the house. Yay. And we're going to have Grant live where you're going to be able to see him and hear his voice tomorrow. I'm super excited to have Grant back on again. And Grant says, I believe Eli Lilly has recouped their investment many times over. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Grant, for mentioning that because I was going to mention that too. So Eli Lilly has made a fortune on Mounjaro and Zepbound. So they have made back all the money that it cost them for sure for getting these, creating these medications and getting them out to market. And I pray every day that they finally realize they've made enough money and lower the price more. And they have started something that's lowered it to compete a little bit with the compounding pharmacies. Is they do something called Lilly Direct. So if you don't have Mounjaro or Zepbound on your health insurance, if your health insurance doesn't cover it, you can buy directly from them. So you're not going to a pharmacy, so there's no middleman. And you won't get the medication in the pens. You'll get them in a vial where you have to insert a shot and then take a shot of it versus their really cool pen that they've got. But it's more than half price if you go to Lilly Direct. It's still expensive, but it's at least half price. So they have brought that down. I'm hoping they'll bring down the cost even more. But they have brought down the cost some that way. But they definitely need to bring it down even more.
Does anybody know how many years a pharmaceutical company can keep the patent before it becomes generic availability?
How many years?
I don't know.
Oh, he's asking
the question. Yeah.
All right. We'll see if someone
if you know,
put it in the comments. And Grant says, so thankful for this community on YouTube. I have no GLP-1 support much locally. And you know what, Grant? I don't either. I
support you.
Well, I got Jeff.
I'm pretty local.
Yes. I do have Jeff, but I mean of other friends who are taking GLP-1s. Jeff doesn't take the medication. So I have one friend who lives far away. That's been a friend for a long time. She doesn't really like to talk about it much though. And then I have a friend whose boyfriend takes it, and I've talked to him about it twice in the last year and a half. And the only thing he really wanted to talk about was the struggle of finding it, you know? So yeah, I don't have a bunch of friends that I say, hey, let's come on over for a cup of coffee and let's sit down and let's chat about how your week's doing. Which, by the way, I also like you to put, if anyone has had any wins this week, put them in the comments, because I love sharing our wins when we do our weight loss book club, as well as Mounjaro Mondays. And Mariella says, Grant, same here. This community has been a great support for me. Very grateful. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, you guys. That's what I was hoping. Oops. That's what I was hoping this would be. And, Anchor Moments are special communities on Sundays and Mondays. And Grant says, God bless Barb. Continued prayers for her. Yep. And Mariella says also, Barb is the best. Love her and her support. She is amazing. So remember, that email for her is barbfightsback@gmail.com. barbfightsback@gmail.com. Hey, and we got Mindy in the house. Hey, hey, hey. She says she's late to the show, but we're glad she's here. And tomorrow, Mayor Mindy is going to be our guest on Mounjaro Monday Live when we talk about breaking those stalls. And hey, we got traces of Twan's live here too. Happy Sunday. Hey, Twan, I sent you an email last night. If you're available tomorrow, we'd love to have you on our panel tomorrow with Grant and Mindy. So let us know if you're available. And I love your YouTube channel. And thanks so much for taking the time to be my guest a couple of weeks ago. It was just a hoot and holler good time to have you. And I did finish my, Twan had on her channel, a 10-day squats challenge. Oh. And I did all 10 days. And on day 10, I gave you a shout out again, Twan, and I thanked you for challenging me. And I did complete it. And I've given myself a couple of days where I haven't done squats to help I haven't done squat, and my butt and leg and thighs feel better now. So I'm going to start doing squats at least every other day and put them back and put them in my rotation of exercise things. But I got you to thank for it, because I forgot about doing squats. I used to do them and then I stopped. So it's good to do those again. And everybody's saying hi to each other because we are a great community here. And Twan says, my grandson has a baseball game tomorrow night. What time is it? So we'll go live 5 o'clock Pacific and Arizona time, which I believe, Twan, you're in Eastern. So it'd be 8 o'clock Eastern time. And I need you to show up about 15 minutes early. So that way we
No
can get
pressure.
everybody, no pressure. But so, because Jeff isn't used to doing panels. So I'm really making this first panel small. So it's just a little panel. And then we might do bigger panels in the future, but just, you know, because Jeff is my tech support and to make sure everything goes really well. So I have Grant and Mindy for sure. And if you could make it, Twan, you'll be our third one. That would be so fun to have you again if you're available. And then Twan says, awesome. Gives me some. So yeah, so just let me know with an email. And that way, Jeff will send out the StreamYard link to you guys about 30 minutes before we go live. You can be looking for an email from him then, and then you'll click on that link at about 20 minutes, quarter till or so that way we can make sure everybody's up and sounds good. And if you have an extra picture you want to send, you need to send that to me today. So I need to tell Mindy and Grant that if you want to give me a before and after picture, we can put that up during the live tomorrow too, because that'd be kind of fun. And Twan, I still have that picture that you had last time where it's really cool, where it's 4 different stages of you losing weight. So that'd be great. And Twan says, I'll email you if I'm able to join. Okay. That would be great, Twan. And I know you were so wonderful to be on and take a lot of time with us a couple weeks ago. But yeah, if you're able to make it tomorrow, let us know, because we'd always love to have you. We think you're great. And I really love your channel. And I like being one of your sun rays, which we need a fun name for the Anchor Moments community too. So if you guys have any ideas of what you'd like to be called, let me know. Twan did that to her community. She asked, what would you guys like to be called? Yeah, and they said she was like sunshine. And so they are her sun rays, which I think is just super sweet. So I'm proud to be a sun ray too. All right, that's it. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming today. Next week, we're going to do the last 2 chapters of Dave's book. And then our next book after that, oh gosh, what is their name? Someone, I believe it was Michelle, has gotten a book that she said is absolutely fantastic. It just came out on the market. Do you remember what it's called, Jeff? I've got to look it up again. Shoot, my mind's going blank. But we're going to add it to, hey, Grant says Gina's Anchors. We could put that out in the mix and see, keep them coming, then I'll let you guys vote on it. But yeah, that could be one of the possibilities. And the next book, oh gosh, why is my mind going blank? Because we haven't bought the book yet. Jeff and I have to buy. I'll remember in a minute here, and I'll have Jeff put it on our list on Amazon, and I will buy it. And I'll show you what the next book is. But it's a book that recently came out that would be really outstanding. So anyway, all right. Oh, good. And Tracy's a Twan likes Gina's Anchors, my little anchors. All right, everybody, hold on to your anchor moments and make it a great day. Love you guys. Bye-bye. Mwah.